Greetings. Patrick here, have Cheetah will view, 8 questions with, and it's Thursday. Um, so I don't know what happened to our show yesterday and Tuesday. Oh, that's right. I didn't schedule one. I only scheduled the one show to end off our year, 2023, and I couldn't think of a better person to have come up end the year for us than our good friend Jason, the Nice One, who is a very very kind and I hope he doesn't mind me using this term because this is how I see it. He's one of the most kind and gentlest people out here on YouTube. He's very supportive. Um, he's very supportive. He's very knowledgeable. He loves live theater. He also is a writer. You also act a little bit too, right?
Oh yeah, I've been an actor since the age of 8. So
So
been
you
doing it
you you have seen it all. You've
oh
seen it both on the boards and behind the curtain.
oh yes,
Mm.
definitely. And
Uh,
it's a lot of fun.
Hi, Anthony. How are you, sir? How are you? Saw your
Hi
library
Anthony.
hall. Anthony was flashing off the library hall today. I have not been able to get to our library this week. Like I always put out a Tuesday video.
Hmm.
Always put out a Tuesday video what I got at the library, but um, they were closed this week. Um, so we don't know
Yeah.
what happened. Uh, 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 hey, Mayanne, how are
Hey
you?
man, how are you?
And there's Mike, our friend from Did You See That?
Hi Mike.
Enjoyed his worst films of the year. I was so happy to
I
see that.
saw that.
Did you see what did not make this? There's two movies that I've
No.
been seeing people put down like bottom of the bucket.
Hmm.
One is not right. So I was really happy to see that Mike didn't fall into that trap either. One
Hmm.
was Skinamarink because
Hmm.
I thought Skinamarink was really good.
I haven't
Um,
seen that. That's one of those I've got to watch.
It's
Um,
it's really good. You won't love it necessarily, but you'll definitely like it.
mhm.
It's an interesting mystery. And then two, he also reviewed Ouija Shark 2, and that did not make the bottom 10. Which I actually sort of honestly, I think I would have been a little bit surprised if it had made his bottom 10 because Ouija Shark 2, from what I hear, is actually a lot of fun. The first one was a lot of
Oh,
fun as well. But the second one actually got money. The first movie got
yeah.
made for now, you being a live theater guy, you could appreciate this. Like, like
Hmm.
how much money does it really cost to put on a live show, a stage show?
Oh heavens, yeah. It depends. Depends on whether you're not for profit or most for. I know Broadway can be in the millions, but most not for profit. I know it depends on if it's community level or. I know most community theater, they're just pretty based in the community and not for profit. Usually, it could be anywhere. I mean, it could be 4 to 5 thousand. It is. They're very limited budgets, but they do go with them. They stick to them and they do quite well. And for them, but yeah,
I
you
get,
can go all the way up to like professional theater. You can. Oh my gosh, you're talking. You know,
yeah, that's one.
half a million. Sometimes this depends.
I was gonna say you still have to like with movies these days. Mike wants to know. Hey, Echo. Mike wants to know. He says he hasn't seen Skinamarink yet, so he can't comment. Well, you would like it. Um, and he wants to know what was your worst movie of 2023?
Oh dear Lord, yeah, there's a few, not I don't. It's hard. There are a couple that were just yeah. I would have one would and I don't know if they came out this year, but it's what I saw them. But I know the one was Noah's Shark. Oh my gosh, I didn't hate it because it was one of those where it's so dumb, but it's fun. It's just escapist fun and laugh but I was like, good grief, man. But
Yeah,
I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. I'm still soaking in Thanksgiving. It's taken me a while to
no, Noah Shark. That would be one. What about the one I think everybody should like vote for would be Bo Was Afraid.
I haven't seen that. It's another one I haven't seen.
Man,
A24 has been hit and miss for me. This
yeah,
depends on the.
yeah. Isn't that the case? I'm sort of like I'm looking over here and I'm poking fun at it and I'm looking over here and I'm seeing it stare back at me and it's sitting there going like you gotta watch because I got it for a quarter. I
Mhm.
got my copy for a quarter, so I picked it up. Um, yeah, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, when do I really want to sink my teeth into that and go watch 3 and a half?
Mhm.
I don't really know. Are there actors that will avoid watching either on screen or on the boards?
This depends on there's a few I've had experiences with personally that would turn out to be not very often turn out to be complete jerks, um, and all that. And it just depends on the day or whatever they're having. All that. And I had a bad experience one time working for local theater here. They had Tony Danza in concert, and he was a complete a jackass.
Who was it?
Tony Danza. He was this complete
Oh,
egotist and everything else, and it's just that doesn't happen very often. Most people
no.
are professional and all that, but you can have those few that are just. But a lot of times they're not well known actors, but there's a lot of them. That's the big number one rule in any theater, in movies or anything. It's like, don't be an ass.
Yes,
Just be kind. Don't show up, and it's not about you. It's about the project. It's about the people that are going to be paying the money and sitting in the seats or watching the video, and it's your partner that you're dealing with.
right,
You're
right.
and that's the big thing, and they forget about that. It's
Yeah,
and
you're absolutely right. 10 years in the live music business, and I can count the assholes on both hands. So,
there's a lot
you
of them
know,
out there. It's sad, but
well, that's for 10 years, only it was about 10 people being an
10
asshole. That's
it's
pretty
not bad.
damn good. No,
Yeah, it is.
but yeah,
Yeah.
what is the difference between now? You're not the first person that's told me this
Hmm.
about live theater. That is it because that the is it because it is live that the performers are a lot more stressed because here you are, you're live. All your mistakes are going to be out in the open. If you miss a song, if you miss a mark
Hmm.
or flub a line of dialogue, you're right there. Nobody's gonna. There's no cover. There's no cut. There's no reset. There's none of that.
Yeah.
You're exposed. Do you think that causes a lot of performers to tighten up like that before the show
Sometimes
goes?
Sometimes it does. I think if it doesn't affect you, you shouldn't be in it anymore. It is scary. It's a responsibility, but I think that's what the beauty of live theater is. Things happen. You don't know when things are gonna happen. Audiences or people you just go with it. That's what I think. That's why I love theater. Was it Al um, Pacino said once, he does television and film to pay the bills, but he does theater because he loves it. Because theater's not going to pay the bills. It never has.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and the thing is, but it's so much fun. And I've had stuff. I mean, one of my favorite moments when I did local theater here, where I was the understudy. I was in Fiddler on the Roof, so I was about 29, 30, almost 30. And I was the understudy for Tevye, but the man that was going on, he was a legend here, and he never missed performances. And I was hoping not to, because the guy that was playing Golda was my high school drama teacher. And I'm like, that's kind of scary. But she was twice my age, but I've always looked older than I am. And one night he had to go out. His mother was sick, and she had to go pick her up. She was, they had to get her to a hospital and all that. So I went on, and some stupid actor. There's always the jerks always out there. They're not paying attention. And we got to there's a second act where the song "Do You Love Me?" It's the love song between he and Golden. I sang that first part, "Do You Love Me?" And all of a sudden, over the loudspeakers, I hear, "This dressing room smells like ass."
And now that okay. So did you manage to stay in character
Yeah.
for that? Or did
Well,
you
when
lose it?
I didn't lose it, but I was looking at. Said the high school drama teacher said, "We've lost control of the mothership," and I like, "You think?" And I'm sitting there, and that night happened to be the producer of the show was there, and he's looking at me like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, "I'm going to kill you." And I just think, what can I something I can do within character? That's what you have to do to make it look sense. And I finally said, I'm going to use. He's always talking about his animals. So I said, "Golda, I'll be right back." And I was just walking around with these damn cows. I just start making, and the audience went with it. It's like, I'm going out to see they're making the noise, make it sound something believable.
Right, right.
But I went backstage, and I backed him up into the wall, and I was like, "Shh." I tapped the body. Usually mics are right here.
Yeah.
And I went back all the time that the audience bought it, and we just started going back and started the show. But then I'm waiting for the orchestra. He has the first note. I just barely started, and I'm looking at him. He's looking at me like, "What am I?" Like, "After you." you idiot. It's like you got the first note. We went on and did it. But that night, oh my gosh, he got back and said, how dare you do this, whatever. And I look at him, I go, this dressing room smells like ass. Really? And I've never seen the blood drain from a man's face. He realized that the entire audience heard, the entire mountain heard that. This is an outdoor theater up at Sundance. And I'm like, you idiot. And he got fired that night. I go, yeah, it's too bad for him, because that's not a person you want to be fired from at Sundance, because we all know who's in charge of that. And it's like, and it's just stuff like that happens. I've had one of my favorite moments when I was doing our Shakespeare Festival. We were doing Noises Off. I don't know if you're familiar with that play. It's a backstage comedy. And I was playing the director. But this was the second act. And so I'm sitting there running up the backstage and all that, and my pants split wide open. It just happens, stuff like that happens. So I go backstage and I have 40 seconds to get something to get back on. I had 45 seconds. Customer's trying to find something. I've got my pants around my ankles. She finds something to pin in, puts it up. I go right out. I'm not out there for 10 seconds. The audience is roaring. And I'm like, I haven't done anything yet. It's nothing. And the gal that was playing Brooke was going, like, what are you, having a stroke? What's going down? And I looked down, and the poor customer had pinned gloves in there, and it had come out and fell, and it was looking like an udder between my legs, and I about lost it.
Yeah, live theater is an adventure.
It's so funny. ASM look back at backstage. It was during intermission. He goes, "Do you need a hand?" And I'm just like, it was funny. It was funny. It ended up being so funny, but you just never know. That's what I love about live theater. You just don't know. You have dead audiences. You have good audiences. Actors do things differently, and it's never boring.
You walk both sides. You walk, as an actor, as a director, and as a critic. And you've written. Now that must be really tricky right there, because you're sitting there. You're in the stands as a critic. You're sitting in the seat as a critic, and you see something that comes out like that, and there's part of you that says, as an actor, you're sitting there, you're sympathizing. You're like, oh my God, for the love of God, that by the grace of God, that could be me, or it has been me. But then again, you're sitting there going like, okay, I gotta, do I write about this? Do I write about what happened on here, or do I just, don't write about it, even though maybe the moment was the big laugh of the night, even though it was all for the wrong reasons. So I mean, how do you maintain the balance between being a critic and seeing something like that versus being a performer or a director?
For me, it's just I just look at us that does the actor just let it happen? Don't apologize. You have nothing to apologize for, and just go on. Don't let it. If you let it get to you, then you're not professional. You're losing the moment. There's no reason to let it get you. Just have fun with it. That's what we always call the audience the third collaborator. And it's fun. That's what I love. It's never boring. Depends on what happens each night. And that's what Noises Off makes fun of in the character. By the time you get to that third act with what's her name, the gal that runs around Brooke, that runs around her underwear, she's just saying the same thing in the same tone every single time. She's not even paying attention that everything's going wrong around her. That type of actor drives me crazy. It's like, you got to pay attention to what's going on around you and being aware and listening. And that's one of the greatest lessons I learned in theater is listening.
Do you think that's because they get locked into their character? And they don't want to break character,
they don't. They're not paying. They're not. Like I said, 90% of what you're doing acting is reacting, is listening to your people on stage with you. That's what makes it real. That's what was missing in Scream 5. Was there was just Melissa Barrera was just not listening to Jenna. Jenna's giving all of her heart here. She's just been through this traumatic moment. She's been waiting to get this out. She thought she was going to die, and Melissa's just standing there going, just saying her lines. And I'm like, better. I've seen her do better. That's what surprised me when she did that. Part of it was the writing, but I was like, I don't know what's going on with her. I've seen her do better than that. And it's like, you've got to respond to, and then she got better. And, but it's just, you have to.
That's a director's job too, though. It
is
100%. I mean, I've seen a lot of performances where I'm like, wow, where's the director on that? Where's the firm hand? I mean, a lot of times it seems like certain directors are scared to go out there and actually say anything.
Yeah.
I've seen a few directors like that. They they can't go out there and they can't direct a talent like, and you can tell. In fact, we were
Mm-hmm.
just talking about this. We were just talking about this incident on Tuesday. We're talking about movies, and we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about how director Martin Campbell directed Green Lantern with Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Reynolds. And Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Reynolds has been, he's been on record forever saying how much he hated the movie, and he's always talking shit about it. What I've always thought about when I rewatched it, I thought, well, I think what he's pissed off about is the fact that Martin Campbell didn't let him get away with doing his Ryan Reynolds. He wasn't playing Ryan Reynolds. He made him act. He made him work. And
Yeah.
I think Ryan Reynolds sort of got his feelings hurt that some director wasn't going to let him just coast through it like he normally does.
Mm-hmm.
But no,
Yeah.
I don't. Same thing with Vince Vaughn. With Vince Vaughn has learned to take direction.
Yes.
Is that a hard thing for actors to do, or is that because, or is that or their training comes into play? Is it hard for actors to take direction? And what is the number one reason why they don't take direction very well?
That's the bad part. That's right there. You've got to learn to be collaborative. Again, it's not about you. That you have the big thing to me as an actor I was taught is that you bring what you the big thing is number one, get off the acting train, stop acting, just communicate. But also is the fact that you give the director options. If you have an instinct, go for it. Don't make the director pull a performance from you. I've seen that so many times, not in just theater and movies and television as well. And you just got to listen to them. Don't take things personally. And if they say, well, that didn't work, can you try this? Be willing to try things. Go out on a limb. But you understand you've got to get behind the director's vision. That's your job. And to get behind their vision and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to basically, accomplish with the film. That's your job. It's not your job to direct direct a director. You're not going to work for very long. And they do. I think they get stubborn. The more they get into it, especially some celebrities, they just get to the point where they think they're better than anybody else. And I go, no, you're not. You're no better than anybody else. You're just like everybody else. Each project is a new project. It's brand new. It's like you're starting over again.
I always got frustrated with that, with seeing like people like Vince Vaughn or Ryan Reynolds who do that, who come out there and they give their usual stick that we always seen. I think as Vince Vaughn himself has gotten older, he's gotten better. But there must have been plenty of times where he was just doing this improv, and people were absolutely just hating on him. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, your worst film that you saw with Thanksgiving?
No, I said that. I was asking. He asked what my favorite was so far.
Oh, favorite one. Okay, I was gonna say
that's been so far. That's the one. I was very scared of it because Eli Roth and me. When I saw. I just say it's just me. It's not means the movie was bad. It's just for me. It just didn't click. It was Hostile. I walked out of the first when the boy was getting his kneecaps. I walked out and I almost threw up. I go, I just couldn't handle it. It was like watching an actual snuff film, which it wasn't. And Eli's not saying Eli. Eli is a talented writer. He's a good director. He knows what he's doing.
Right.
But this one, I thought, I'm gonna try that, and I really started liking it, and then I laughed when all of a sudden I went, I don't think he did it purposely, but I was like, people think I'm crazy when I say if Shakespeare were alive today, he'd be writing sitcoms and horror movies. People say, what are you talking about? I go, have you watched Hamlet? Have you this one, the dinner table scene in Thanksgiving? That's Titus Andronicus.
Yeah, I mean, he wrote a lot. Shakespeare is not exactly light table fare. He always writes. That's why they're tragedies. They're called tragedies. I saw Hostel 2 at the theater, and what really got me, I guess, I don't know, saved me. I thought the makeup effects were pretty bad for the end of the movie. But when they showed Rick Hoffman, and I knew who Rick Hoffman was way back then, but when they showed Rick Hoffman coming on screen, that took me out of the movie. Because it's like, it's Rick Hoffman, for Christ's sakes. And then of course he went on to do Suits, and now he did Thanksgiving, and I think that he's Eli Roth's Lucky Charm, so to speak.
That's
a good movie. I have yet to see it. I'm hoping that they will release it on home media, so I can watch it as well.
Right now it's so expensive right now, and I would think I don't understand why some studios do that. To rent it's $20, and I'm like, are you kidding me? The only way I got it was someone gave me an Amazon gift card for my birthday. I said, okay, I can rent it now and watch it, and it didn't cost me anything. And so I was able to do it. And
Does it cost that much now to rent movies? $20?
no, it's these what they do is when they're first in the theaters, and then they release them at the same time after a week or two on iTunes and on Amazon. They if you wait a while, they'll come down. Like now you can rent Saw X, which I still haven't seen. I want to say is for like $5 or $6 now. It's been out now for long enough that now it's gone down, and you can buy it for 10 if you want to buy it. And so it's gone down. But sometimes they do the brand new ones. I'm like, are you kidding me? Really?
That's crazy.
I thought I'm not going to pay that for a rental or something. No, I'll wait.
No, I just generally wait for it to come, and hopefully that it'll drop at my library. I can either check it out at the library and watch it for free, or I can just wait till they drop a copy. It's just a whole. It's now the video stores are no longer. So let's go back to your beginnings, because the fact of the matter is that you acted. There was that. I guess acting came first for you, right?
I started. This was back, of course, in the 70s. Telling me how old I am, but when I was 6, when I was born and raised, and see people. I'm live here in Utah now. People think, "Oh, Utah's so stuck." I'm like, "Oh, you've never lived in the Bible Belt, people. Give me a break." In the 70s.
Oh, you live in Utah. Oh my God! I don't know why I thought. You know what? I thought for some reason you lived like in Illinois or somewhere.
I used to live in New York, but I moved here when my 2 brothers and my sister were here. My dad retired in '83, and so we moved up here when I was 15. I've been here ever since. But I like Utah. I mean, it's nice, but it's just driving. I've been here, but husband and I we're going back and forth right now. I'm trying to get him to. He's finally got a job right now. I said, let him use it. He worked 2 hard years for his master's degree. Let him use it and teach and get some security and get some use out of that master's degree. He worked so hard for it, and he's nice he can do it. But in Texas, El Paso, it's right on the border there, and I was interested in dance. I was the only boy I was 6 years old in dance class with about 6 other girls. I loved tap, but I also loved ballet. And of course, we were in the military. My dad was in the military and all this. And oh, Val, just a second. I was reading what Val's saying. But awesome. Hi, Val. Love you.
Yay, Lady Valarie is here. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming up, Val. Don't worry, we'll get you back up here. I told Lady Valarie as soon as everything gets worked out on her tech side that I'll be bringing her back up here for a co-host. We always got something cooking here. I'm just thinking Utah. I'm just thinking, wow, that's is Utah getting more? Is it getting more liberal, or is it getting more flexible?
Yeah, especially a lot of times, even in this neighborhood, it's starting. Utah was the first Western. And that was because of an organization called Equality Utah, which is headed by some great people, and they're trying to work to be kind and generous and understanding of one another. And the governor at the time, which he was a conservative governor, but he was a smart man. And they were the first state to ban the practice of reparative therapy, which shocked the world. And it was Utah that did that. But they listened to their therapists. They listened to the doctors, and they said, you can't do this to kids. You got to stop doing that. And they did. It's been outlawed. It's outlawed. It's illegal. And you can't recommend it or anything. That was a big, and it has one of the largest pride celebrations. And next to, Los Angeles, obviously, because Los Angeles is much bigger, but yeah.
Did you get married to your husband in Utah?
No, that was back in New York before the just before the pandemic. That's another long story. Oh, that was a mess. Yeah, he ended up. I was here, but I was going to go back there. He was going to. We had bought a place. I own a place. That's another whole story that I couldn't believe we got it. It was through a friend of mine that lived next door. That this man, he's a self-made millionaire. He was an old independent contractor and all that, and he had fixed this house up. There was a little grandma cottage in the back. It was in just off of Riverside Park, and the nice part of Harlem. And he just had done everything, and they were trying to get rid of it. He had bought had got it. He didn't want much. They were just trying to get rid of it. They were moving upstate. They retired. And so I said, well, what are they asking for? They're, well, 450. And I'm like, what's wrong with it? I go, 450,000, a 9-bedroom. Are you kidding me? You're lucky if that gets you a condo in a semi-nice neighborhood, 1 bedroom in New York.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It's worth now $2.5 million. And we know he sold it to us for 450. I could not, I still can't believe it. I still can't. That thing is worth, but my one son lives there with his husband ever and my one granddaughter and her mother. And so I said, give some security, gives us a week. When we're there, we can live where we want and love it. But yeah, what happened was he was in California doing a show, and then he said, well, I'm going to go and I got to go sell my contract, sell everything in New York and get back so I can just come back and spend whatever's going to happen with you. But he usually will, even though they pay most directors' jobs, they pay him for travel. He still books like multiple flights to save money, This time he didn't. The one time he doesn't is a nonstop flight to New York. He gets there, and then he hears about it. They said they were going to cancel the meeting in New York. That's why he was going back. He goes, okay, let me see if I can get a flight. And they said, well, we can get a flight on you about 4 a.m. Okay. And the next morning they shut the air down, and everything was shut down because of COVID. So I spent our first year of marriage separated by 2,000 years and FaceTime.
Wow. How long did it take for you guys to get reconnected?
So finally, after when he was the first ones to get New York got the first ones to get immunized, and I did my first 2, and then he finally came out, and after a year, would not wish that on my worst enemy. It worked because the fact that we were just knowing each other for so long, and since 2009, and the fact that when I bought him about 3 years before a dog, which became a support animal for him. It's the cutest little dog, Quincy, and he's mostly pincher, but he's got a little Chihuahua in, and that's why he's got these big ears, floppy ears, and we just connected our life that way. And but it drove him crazy. This 10,000 square foot, not even the little tiny living room with 2 little bedrooms, and that's it. Not going anywhere. In New York, he said it died. It just died. He lived in It was Astoria, which is a part of Queens, which is a Greek side, really nice side. And it just stuck there for a year. It just nearly drove him crazy. He had to get away and wanted to get out of there. And so that's why we've been here ever since. And I wanted to go back, but then I realized, no, he's a city boy. He was never, ever raised in. I said, you were raised in Columbus. You never saw far. No, he's never seen anything like this out here in the West. Arizona, New Mexico. He's never seen anything like that. And I thought, are you kidding me?
Utah's a beautiful state.
And so when we first got out here, and my mother-in-law she's so sweet. Her and my mother were the best of our best of friends. And I took him out to my family's. My mother's family's, her one aunt owns out here owns a dairy farm. It's a family-owned, my mom's side owned dairy farm. And he comes up and he goes, this is so cool. I just milked a cow. And I'm like going, yes. And he looked at it, and I'm looking, I go, Mom, are you getting the camera? This is too precious for words. I can't believe this. He's never milked a cow. I was raised in Texas. He had never seen anything like this, and the nice where he doesn't have to look over his shoulder. And I'm like, yeah, I remember. I lived in New York from 1989 to 93. I remember those days in New York. And that's why we've been here ever since. But we'll go back. But I have some kids in California. I have 6 boys, which drives me crazy. Oh my gosh, that's in a whole other.
You have 6 sons?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
A year and a half apart. That's like I never want to do that again, ever. I don't know what their mothers were thinking.
Are they triplets?
No, they were all single. There was my 2 favorite best friends in college at SUU, and there was Pamela and Melanie. Melanie was a costume designer, and Pam was a production designer. I mean, a production stage manager. And I was an actor director, and so we became best friends. And we went off. I left. That was a whole other story. Suicide attempt, blah blah blah. And I don't have to go into that. We all know about that stuff. And I just had to get out and away when they left, and so I didn't finish college there. I went to New York, and of course, being a character actor, you're not going to get work. I mean, I'm too young, but I worked ushering and house managing. I worked at the Radio City Music Hall, giving tours and all that, and I loved it for 3 years until my dad got Parkinson's, and so I moved back here to help my mother. And
What's it like to start, like, here at Hollywood? You hear, for Hollywood, to start, as doing, like, background work or extra work or what have you
mhm,
for movies. But what's
yeah,
it like trying to get through the door on Broadway? I mean, you could have your degree and still have trouble opening doors on
I
Broadway.
haven't. All my sons, I mean, before my sons have been on Broadway. I've never been. I've performed in New York, but not on Broadway, and my husband hasn't either. He's directed, but he's never. People say, "Well, you did the national tour of Newsies." That's the national tour, not the Broadway. Doesn't
Yeah,
count. And
yeah, and you know
so
something. You think a national tour would be, like,
it's the
be
same
the one
show.
thing. Yeah, you would think that'd be the ultimate goal. It's like, okay, look, we're gonna go off Broadway, then we're gonna take it to Broadway, and then we're gonna tour on this son of a bitch. That's
Um,
where the money's at. The money's
that's what the
in the
money is.
tour.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
one. I did one tour. I never want to do it again, but it's good money. I mean, they pay your salary, they pay your travel, and now they pay for your housing. They even pay you an extra money for food and stuff every week, so you can save money. And it's not like where you're paying 90% of your first paycheck of the month on rent.
Right.
And
Right.
so it's nice and all that, but they just don't count it. I'm like, are you kidding me? You could
Wow.
you're still a member of equity, but you're not. It's just so funny that you don't. I did that. I did one for a year at the full Monty, and that's all. I never said I would ever do that. And I go, now people say, "Oh, you couldn't pay me enough." I go, yes, they can.
Oh yeah, they can. Yeah, and you know what? And if you want to work, you'll do those tours. So that's where the money. That's where the exposure's at.
And
That's
I
where you
learned.
build the following. You
I
imagine,
learned.
imagine just being in New York. You're on the Broadway. Yes, you're in New York, but you're
Hmm.
on there, and you really sort of have sort of a finite crowd. You really do. You don't have, in order to build up your reputation, to build up your press. Yeah, it's great to stick in New York, but when you go out to tour, when you go out to different cities and people see you, guess what? They're talking about you a lot more doing that than you are just sitting there
Hmm.
playing in front of the same crowd, night after night.
And then
I, I think, in terms of building a career, I think being locked into one show, on Broadway, I think it's a little bit overrated.
it
I think
is.
most performance, it's better to go out there and be seen by a lot more
Hmm.
people. Hmm.
Yeah, that's why television. Yeah, it's that's how I kind of segued into that because I know I couldn't. My age now I can, which I've been on. They call them short lists, where it's like they put you on lists, you audition or something, and they go, well, if the tour goes out or we need a replacement. I was on some of those, but unfortunately, some of those shows have closed now. But it was a good exposure. I was going to supposed to start in Utah, and I go, I don't want anybody that knows me in Utah to see me in that show, because I didn't realize that at the end of that, you're actually fully naked, but they have these lights behind you with full money on it, so that nobody can see you. But when I watched the show opening night Sunday, because I had to start writing blocking down and all that, and I was in about the third row, and I'm like, you can still see everything. Oh my gosh, here we go. I said, I was glad to imagine. I just wanted to start in Chicago. That was our next stop. And so I did, but I just didn't realize, and I laugh about it now. I wish I could stand by the box office and here's your money back. I'm sorry you had to see that. but but that was where the great Elaine Stritch, she was playing I can't remember the character's name, but she was the rehearsal pianist. And her and I became friends for the last 15 years of her life. She was something else. That woman was a legend, and she was just so much fun to work with. And she latched on to me like, and I'll never forget my first night. I was at Chicago. I was so scared. I'm like, here we go. But they demanded that nobody be on stage during that scene, except for the wives in the audience. And so, we got done. I said, here we go. And lights turned down. I laugh now. I said, that really gives a whole new term to the meaning that really burns my ass. Whew, those lights were hot. And we were like that close.
Right.
And so at the end, the lights go out, our dressers come out, help us get in the robes and all that for the curtain call. I look over and there's Elaine Stritch on stage right looking at me. And she's like, I'm like, shit, here we go. I've heard stuff about it. I've just heard stories about her and all that. And so afterwards, I'm sitting in my dressing room going, waiting, and the door knocks. And I said, come in, Elaine. She comes in. She was so funny. And she says, outstanding, Jason. I almost had an orgasm. We'll see you
I,
downstairs. I'm
yeah,
like,
I think she's. If I'm not mistaken, I think she was a Michigan girl.
yeah, she was,
Yeah.
and it was so funny. I'm like, I was like, what did she? And my dresser's like, what did Lainey just say? Yeah, she said that the side of my junk gave her an orgasm. That was my whole. Oh my gosh, that woman was it was hysterical. My favorite thing she ever said is and I live by this. I think it's a great saying. It's like the old prostitute said. It's not the work, it's the stares. It's true.
Yeah, I guess.
Very true.
Yeah, people. Yeah, I guess people stare at you. I mean, they noticing you. There you are, so to speak.
But it's like all those stairs you have to go up, and all the work you have to do in pre-work. It's the career itself. It's hard. It's a lot of work.
Now, are you talking about those stares from people looking at you, or also behind the stage?
Behind the stage, but a little stare. It's kind of symbolic. She said having to actually, the work you have to put into it, beforehand, and all that is just the older you get. It's just that's what she meant, really. It's true. The work you have to put into it. But that led to, we're finally when I went back, and then they got my two of his friends. They got jobs at Paramount. Speak about Paramount, but and they decided, they wanted to come up and visit, me up there or whatever. And that's when they approached me about starting a family. They were both orphans. They were raised by their grandparents. Both their sets of parents were killed by DUI drivers. And so they wanted a family. I said, sure. Okay. They wanted me to be the father, but they said, we wanted you to be in their life. And didn't think 6 of them later, I go, what are you doing? You want the big family? How much time do you have? And I'd get them half a year, while they're filming and doing series. But I'm like, how do you do this? This is a handful. 6.
Did they know? Did they know each other? I mean, so you
they were high school sweethearts, and so we were best friends. And so I did. And then unfortunately, when it was back in 2007, it was 2 years after my dad died. I was in a show down in Texas, which was the show in El Paso that I had started. And I started when I was 8. I was Charlie Brown on a Charlie Brown Christmas. And that's when it all started. And he was doing Andrew Lloyd Webber season that year. And I laugh at that still because this director gave me a chance. He believed in me. And we were doing Cats. I've done that show. But we were also doing Jesus Christ Superstar was pilot. But then we were doing Evita, and he cast me as Che. And I'm like, do I remotely look anything like Che Guevara? Are you insane? But he did. He cast me the only one that could act and sing that part. That's a hard role. And later, when I got to meet her one time, it was by sheer accident. Didn't realize who I was talking to was Patti LuPone. I mean, this is the one that originated it on Broadway. And I said, well, other people could, can play that part. I go, at least Mandy, looked, And she said, looked at me, and she goes, sweetie, Mandy's a Brooklyn Jew. What are you talking about? And I thought it's true, except for the movie, Antonio Banderas, it's all been white guys, playing that part. And right. So I was doing that show, and I was called by the stage manager. My mother called the stage manager. They were having their anniversary that night. So they were at Malibu Canyon at their favorite steakhouse. The kids were next door with their next door neighbors having a pool party. And it was, my oldest then, he was 14, and the youngest was 8. I think it was 7 or 8. And these guys, Proud Boys, decided, well, they're going to take care of the lesbians. This was, I couldn't believe they did this, and they literally followed them down the canyon and knocked their car down into the ravine. It was only a 5-foot drop, but when they hit, the airbags didn't, and it imploded on them, killed them both instantly. These jackasses. Oh my gosh. So here I am, a single dad of these poor kids. I just lost their 2 mothers. So I'm very, I don't tolerate.
They were basically murdered, but the killers weren't brought to justice. No one.
They were. They both ended up. I did it because I said, you're not going to get off that easy. They both got in prison without a chance of parole. They're dying there. And I just, because I say, you're not going to get off that easy. You robbed them of that joy of having kids and everything else. And then me, and I'm sitting there having to deal with this. I had friends that helped me. The gal that was playing opposite me as Ava took 6 months, almost 6 months off her career. She was in California as a singer, and to help me out, or to be there for me while I could get help and for them because that's their young age to deal with that losing their moms on. So I don't tolerate intolerance. I just have no tolerance for it. I
Sure.
don't and I just don't deal with that was wrong and that was hard, but it happened. We got through it, but it just that was the hardest. But that's when I finally I started going down once they started having kids and I went down and I said, I'm gonna spend some time in California, try it. What the heck, they had some connections and you always go to central casting. That's where you register and eventually you can be SAG or once you have a speaking role back then. Now you can join it it's pretty easy to join. And you just have to pay which is expensive, but it's worth it if you're going to work there. And they were both working on Friends. So I ended up doing some extra work on Friends. Not a lot, but when I started, it was fun. And my favorite moment ever was I got to be on set. I was there sitting on the the couch. I remember this when they did the whole infamous scene, the pivot, like, shut up. It took them 2 hours to do that scene. It was hysterical because it was so funny, that scene, and they just couldn't stop, laughing. And I did that, and I did a few episodes of Frasier and Will and Grace, and I learned a lot on being on set and how, there's a difference. With television, film, and theater is when you've got the camera in your face, you can't have a bad day. You can't fake it. You've got to we call it being vulnerable on stage. We call it softening on camera. You just be there. It's more subtle, and you just have to just listen to your partner and let it work. And when those scenes work, countless, especially the old 70s and 80s movies. The other day when I did my live stream for Love Story, I had forgotten how timeless that movie is.
Oh my
especially
God.
Especially like Ryan O'Neal and Ray Milland as father and son. It's so brilliant.
It's funny you mention that. It's funny because it's like one of the things I noticed right away is like when you started doing your watch parties, and we're all into we're all we're all known for being at horror channels or doing a horror, covering horror, and then all of a sudden it's like you're well entrenched over with Steven and Knight and the collective. I mean, everybody sees you there in the horror chats and everything else. Steven the Nice One, yeah, he's a horror fan. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm going to do Piper Lawyer. I'm going to do a tribute to Piper Laurie, and then everybody's expecting Carrie. Everybody's suspecting Carrie or something like that, and then you come out there with the grass harp, and I'm going like, I wonder how many people will actually understand that and appreciate the fact that you pulled out a classic like that and the show as a tribute. And not only was Piper Laurie in it, and it was a great showcase for her, but Sissy Spacek was also in that movie, which
they were reunited.
A lot of Carrie fans probably didn't realize. They probably didn't realize that those two had acted together before. And so
it was all those years later, after Carrie, that they got back together again, and they were brilliant together.
And Sissy, Piper Laurie was just. She was so special. But I saw that. I saw that you covered that, and then I saw you covered Ryan O'Neal, and I'm sitting there going like, I thought for sure you were going to do Paper Moon. I thought it was going to be Paper Moon that you were going to because and then he pulled out Love Story, and I'm going like, oh my God, Love Story, of course. And of course, that got my engine going. I'm going like, I need to go revisit one of my favorite 70s movies back in the day.
And I didn't realize that it has a sequel. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They said it did pretty good. It wasn't, but it did. And I said, I'll go see it for the heck of it.
No, Summer of 42 had a sequel too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Summer of 44.
So that's why I'm kind of glad the wheel picked. Yeah, the wheel picked for my Valentine's in February. It picked. We're gonna watch my favorite screwball comedy of his is What's Up, Doc. I love that movie. That movie is so hilarious, and he plays the goofball so well with Barbra Streisand, and very young Barbra Streisand. I can't believe she was ever that young, but
yeah. I remember seeing that as well. What's Up, Doc? It came out on ABC on Movie of the Week. It came on like a Friday night at 9:00. It was the first time it had been on network TV, and I watched it, and I remembered it. It was very funny. It was very funny, Barb. And not to offend anybody, but I'm just going to say what it is. It's New York, and it's very Jewish. And you have to understand that when you're watching it. This is New York Jewish humor right here, and it was a first for me. I'm sitting there,
Hmm.
I'm just, I knew Barbara Streisand was an awesome singer. She did A Star
Oh
Is
yeah.
Born. All the music was written by Paul Williams. And then, but for her to do a comedy like that, it was very, it was very, it was almost like Woody Allen without Woody Allen being
Yeah. It
there.
was. That's yeah.
It's hard to explain to younger people too. It's hard to explain to younger people, like back in the day, Ryan O'Neal was a A-lister. I mean, Ryan
Hmm.
O'Neal did great movies. A Love
Yeah.
Story, it's a top 100 movie, whatever list you're putting it on. It's a top 100 movie. You can't have a top 100 movie. I dare say even a top
Mm.
50 movie without
No.
putting. How do you, and I noticed you do a lot of commentary during your live streams.
Hmm.
And do you use your experience based as an actor and as a critic to showcase the movies that you're watching? Do you feel like you're watching the movie do you watch the movie for entertainment purposes, or do you try to put a movie on like that for educational purposes, like to
It's
show,
kind.
the people?
It's
Uh,
kind of
uh, uh,
both. Kind of both. It depends on. A lot of times it's the audience. I like to just turn that switch off, and just watch films that are. And to me, like that's why I love like a safe space. What like Steve and all them were trying to do is just if you have an opinion, great. Like if I like a movie that you don't like, it doesn't ruin the movie experience. It actually enriches it for me. I see somebody else's perspective on it and say, oh, I can see why they think that way. I feel that way, and it makes me and my enjoyment of the movie even more because I realize, well, it affects people, and everything's going to affect people, positive or negative. It's just the way it is, and nobody's wrong or right. It's just about whatever. If you connect to the characters, you do. If you don't, you don't. And there's movies that I like that people don't. I shocked myself because when I finally watched after 450 years, I'd never seen The Exorcist. I was avoiding it, and I watched it. And I thought, okay, it's still wasn't my style, but I appreciated the thing the place it has in motion picture history. Very important, very very important,
mhm.
and all that. But then when I watched the three Conjuring films, I don't know why, but it just moved me to tears. I don't know why I connected with it, but it just did. I saw this couple that were trying to help other people, and I just fell in love
So
with it. It
I,
didn't
I,
it
I
didn't
could
bother it didn't
definitely
bother
think
me.
that. I mean,
It
I can help you out with that one. I think the reason why it moves you to tears was the simple fact that Patrick Wilson and Vera Familia are just two tremendous actors, and they show emotions in their acting. It's
and that
they're
was and then
extremely they're
and
extraordinarily
even
good.
And even the third one, I was surprised because some didn't like it. I thought, yeah, they didn't basically come out and talk about the fact that, that he won in real life on a technicality, is that they couldn't prove that it was first degree because obviously it wasn't. That was enough proof to say there was no burden of proof. He couldn't have done that first. It was first degree, so that's how he got away from it. But that story is just this poor, and their marriage in that, especially the ending with in the caves when he was possessed, and she's just going, this person, this evil thinks that our love is a weakness and it's a strength, and it just knocked him out of it. That love was so powerful between the two of them. But that beginning of that
It,
film, I'm like, this
it's
reminded
it's
me of
sort of it's sort of
Exorcist.
rare
It,
for
it,
it's it's sort of rare for a horror movie. It's sort of rare for a horror movie to actually show that level of emotion. It really is. I mean, most of the time we're programmed to watch horror movies, with not very deep characters. I mean, I think that's the reason why a lot of the like Carrie resonates with us, is because it rang true with real emotion. We all
mm-hmm.
watched that, and it's a timeless horror film. Whereas something like
Yes.
Scream is just it's not. Scream is just it's there. I watch it. I go out and I forget it 10 seconds later.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the same grip on me
Mm-hmm.
as say a Carrie does,
Yeah.
or or like the grass harp. It doesn't have that same emotional grab to it.
That's why.
I think
Yeah.
or The Conjuring. I mean, I mean, I like a good horror film with emotions. Like me, that's why I like A Dark Song. It speaks to me, it talks to my heart. I can always watch that movie. But
That was.
I
Yeah.
but there's other horror movies that just they just come and go, and they just they don't leave that imprint, you know.
It's
And
like, yeah,
when you're empathic, when you have empathic abilities such as yourself has, it affects you a lot more than a lot of people,
mhm.
you know. For keeping,
It's like for me too that I remember watching some of the shows I picked for my Halloween. I just think of stuff I hadn't seen, and I had forgotten with Anthony Hopkins' Magic. It scared the crap out of me again. I just sitting there going this, and I had forgotten the ending. I realized, oh my gosh, it does leave you with an open ended. Really, what was that? Was it what I thought what it was, or was my Anne Margaret's reaction? Plus, seeing Anne Margaret in a horror film, she was brilliant. But there was moments where I was remember him trying to drown Burgess Meredith the body and couldn't sink it. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I got this on video. I laugh when I see it now. So to watch, all of a sudden, the shot showed the doll in the window, and I'm sitting on the live stream. I was something like, ah! It just literally made me jump. I'm like, what the hell? He's just sounding. It was like this, like, and then I was sitting there watching it. All of a sudden, it's like, will you stop showing that damn? It was. I forgot how effective it was. And people and kids now say that wasn't scary.
Are you glad being the ages you are? Like I'm, you know, you and I are probably closer to, same age.
I'm 56, and
yeah, I'm a little older. Are you glad though at age 56 that you have not been desensitized to movies?
Yeah. I haven't, no. Because to me, like violence, people say, why do you watch this stuff or whatever? I was like, it's special effects. I'd rather see that than some, like, to me, I don't know why I still to this day cannot find, and like I said, I'm like Stephen, I don't like body horror, so Cronenberg and me don't get along. But I could not find a copy of the theatrical cut of Infinity Pool. I could not, but the only one I could find was the director's cut. And I'm sitting there going, what the hell? I thought I liked Mia Goth, but particularly I did like Pearl more than I did a lot of Dax. But what I couldn't handle was the fact there's a scene in there where I'm like, I did not need to see Mia Goth going at it with a guy or whatever, and I'm just going to be nice, not shut this channel down, watching her lick it off her lips. I shut it off. I'm like, that's disgusting. I'm done. I didn't need to see that. I go, that has nothing to do with the movie. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Cronenberg, it's like, it's bad enough. I know people do. Some people like, I hate The Fly. I hate the remake. Give me the Vincent Price one anytime. Because
that Fly, the remake is pretty damn gory. It's gory.
I can handle some gore, but not like that. Thanksgiving was probably it's still good. I love it. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I
have to admit, I'm gonna have a hard time watching that one because
to me, what I did like, I was fun when you see who the killer. It's fun. I find to figure to finally have something like that happen. But for me, what it was not the motive itself, but the expanded. When you find out the whole motive behind it, I'm like, wow, I wish they wouldn't do a sequel to it. I wish they'd stop doing that. It doesn't need one.
I have to say this, Jason, man. It's so exciting to see some of these more well-known established actors. You know, someone like a Dermot Mulroney or a Patrick Dempsey or a Dylan Baker. It's so cool to see them, sink their teeth in the good quality horror.
Like me too.
Oh my gosh! I watch it. There's one movie I'll probably bring it up soon at the ISC show. It's called The Clove Hitch Killer, and I'm thinking, okay, and it has I don't think it's Thomas Gibson. It's the guy who played I don't think it's the guy. It's not the guy. It might be the guy. Yeah, I think it's the guy from. They had a comedy series together, and I'll have to tell it to you later, but. But I see his name. I see him there, and I'm like, wow, he's doing a horror movie now? When I heard Dermot Mulroney was going to be in Scream 6, I was like, really? That's intriguing to me. And it's good.
Yeah, I'm used to him, like in my best friend's wedding and all that. All of a sudden, even though you may or may not like the ending, but I still thought, it was still fun watching him play a murder. It was just fun. Yeah. It was just so much fun to watch him to do that opposite. And Well, me like this last one too. The one that surprised me. Some movies surprise me. I know people that it's some people. It's not perfect. It's stupid. It's too short. Blah 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 blah. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but I connected with It's a Wonderful Knife. I don't know why, but it had me crying and bawling at the end. And it is
Oh,
corny. It is dumb. It's just. But I don't know why. I guess the two main characters, the girls, were unknowns. They did a good job. And I can't think of his name. That's the villain. He was in. Oh, come on. He was in uh,
what was the movie's called? It's a Wonderful Knife.
Knife, but it's the movie he was in. The one was Barbarian. He always plays a good jerk or something, and
Justin Long.
yeah, he's so good in it. But this one surprised me. I was like, what are they going to do with this? And it's because I kept hearing these rumors. Oh, they're going to remake It's a Wonderful Life. And I was, oh, that's what this is. And the critics, the press got it all wrong. Because if they remake It's a Wonderful Life, I'm going to go down and shoot somebody. But they. But what it was is just this clever. Steven's going to do a watch party, I think, on Sunday or something on it, with the director and the two. But this idea, this concept of this girl that's really simple, and she saves the life of this town. This serial killer starts killing out of nowhere. It starts pretty quick, and she saves it really quick and saves everyone's life. But then a year later, she's missing her friend that died and was killed, and missing everything. She can't get into college, the college she wanted. All these things are just happening, and everybody's acting like they're trying to get away from it, not remember that and all that. And finally, one night in the Northern Lights, she just says, "I wish I had never been born." And it just switches on a dime, and she's in an alternate reality where, because she wasn't born, she didn't kill the guy, and there's these 30 murders that's still going on. She's got to get out of that by reversing it and killing the killer. But then the twists and turns from what happens there, to find out how she does it is amazing. And it's corny. And yes, there's a few I wish some scenes they would have put in, just kind of explain, not just throw away, because it was only an hour and 20 minutes, which is not a long movie.
No, it seems movies an hour are either going to be too short, like 75, 80 minutes, or they're going to be too long, 3.5. But let me ask you this though. I mean, you grew up in the 70s. You're a 70s kid, and you're watching it. Do you think horror movies today? I mean, do you think horror movies today have the same impact or more impact than the movies of the 70s? Because you hear people talk about it all the time, saying the 80s were the best, the 80s or the 70s were the best, or the 80s were the best, or 90s. I personally think horror movies today, for the most part, I think they're more impactful and more meaningful today than a lot of the movies that are called classics from the 70s. I look at the ones from the back in the day, and I give them credit as that they were trailblazers. I'll give them credit that they were trailblazers, but that's what they are. They're trailblazers. The people coming from behind them are the builders. They come behind and like, this is why we got better films. We got better movies made today. The better technology, the better acting, better trained actors. I mean, you look at Friday the 13th; it's absolutely classic. But you go back and listen to how they're all auditioned, and they didn't have any credits, they didn't have any skills, they didn't have any background. I mean, you just basically got 7 people, basically like, okay, we're gonna pick you 7, and we're gonna throw you in this movie. Yeah. Whereas now you go ahead and watch the Friday the 13th remake, and holy shit, the acting in that movie is off the chain. It's really good acting. It's like,
to me, like, that's the thing I think I love about Thanksgiving was the fact that the people they got, the fact not just Patrick Dempsey, but I can't think of her name. Who plays the wife of the one.
Karen Cleese was in it. She played the lady who. She played the lady that had the most memorable scene in the movie. And you have actresses like that have tremendous skills. And you look at it now versus the 70s and the 80s, and you're going like, there weren't that many actors that were able to hold that same level as they do today. Back then, you look at Race with the Devil. You look back at that and you go like, that's the exception. The Exorcist is the exception. But over in today's world, that's the rule. You get good acting performances about every horror movie.
It's like Black. Yeah, that to me that's why I ask people, I said, why do you hate horror so much? I go, I understand, why can't it break? I looked at so far as a couple of weeks ago. I know it might change a little bit before the end of the year. Got a few more days, but the top, I think the least the lowest grossing horror film of this year still made $50-60 million, which isn't nothing to sneeze at. But I thought,
No.
why can, though the least earning film of all time is in the six figures, why can't we get horror up to the six figures? The
Yeah.
overall, what's it? I don't know what it is. I'd love to have a panel discussion with a bunch of these guys. I say, why do you think is keeping it? I know like Oppenheimer, people say don't do dramas; they're box office poison. Well, when you put it next to Barbie, give me a break. Of course, but it's sold. It got people in the theaters, and they realize, oh, this is a good movie. Well, of course it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when they were doing that, and half of me was sitting there going like, Jesus Christ, are you seriously going to do that? But at the same time, I'm thinking, if that's what it takes to get people to go in there and watch the movie, then you know what, you got to do it. Now a lot of people came out there and they went for Barbie, but they fucking stayed for Oppenheimer. They certainly did. And we saw them. Yeah. Did you see what happened to it when it got released on home video?
Yeah,
sold out everywhere. Oppenheimer sold out everywhere.
What got me too was this past on Christmas, like how we were talking about last year about musicals. Didn't know what was going to happen. The way people are advertising, and I said I'm going to go. I don't usually go on Christmas Day, but around here it's going to be dead. It'll be nice, no kids or something. I'll just sit there and watch. And I couldn't believe. Of course, it's one of the few movies. So movies that are released on Christmas Day sometimes only have a good chance because there's not that many movies out. But I said one day, and Color Purple makes 18 million. A musical. Yeah. And when I sat there and watched it, I thought, what is wrong with the studio here? I go, this is a fantastic adaptation of the stage musical. It's not a remake. It's not. Don't compare it to the original movie. It's nothing like that.
I didn't hear them compare it to the remake. Everything I've read about The Color Purple has been fresh and new. They said it's not a remake. It's not a reboot.
It's the musical.
Right.
It's a musical and it's the novel. But these girls, these fresh takes on them, on these characters, just shocked. And like especially the gal that took over and plays the Oprah Winfrey part, and Oprah Winfrey said, girl, you outdid me. And she admits it. She said, you're young, you're fresh, you have a fresh perspective, a newer, younger on it. And she just literally blew me away. And it's just amazing. And I said, that's why I hope these studios will stop. It's the way it's always been, it always will be. People like talk about now the whole thing with Scream 7. I'm like, whoop-de-frickin-do. This has been going on since the silent era. Look at what Louis B. Mayer did to Judy Garland. I mean, my gosh, Paramount would not fund Psycho. Hitchcock had to do it himself.
Yeah.
Because they would not. And so it's like they've done this whole time. They think these studio head execs think they know what they're doing and they don't. Let them do it. They'll blow out and you just don't know what, when you see something, what happens, like the difference between Thanksgiving or whatever, or you see something like that, or then you see what they've been doing around. But I think what all of it is, it comes down to the advertisement people, the social media. Like I still to this day, I hate it. I think it's the most toxic platform in social media is Reddit. I mean, these people are ruthless.
Oh yeah, I don't even bother with Reddit. I absolutely despise Reddit.
And I said, and the death threats against Christopher Landon and his children, I'm like, are you people kidding me with this? I don't blame. There's people on Reddit. That's why Christopher, 7 weeks ago, he just dropped out. He's, I'm done. You're making this a nightmare. It's no longer fun for me. And I don't blame him. No. I don't blame him. And he finally said, he's like, I'm just happy that at least I got to share in some part of Wes's spirit. What they were going to do and what they were going to try to do. But the stupid exec, he's, well, I know what I'm doing. Like, well, you know something? I said, you're going to fail where Thanksgiving, that producer, that exec let Eli Roth have free reign, and he made a good movie, a decent movie, an original horror film, and it worked. So it's like, you people are just, it's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. Look at Disney. I mean, I still can't get over the fact that they released, for their 100th anniversary, they released, they've had 100 between Pixar and the Disney full-length films, about 100 films so far. And so they said, well, they did all the 4K restorations, including Snow White and some of them they haven't done. But they're sitting there putting them in They're not in clamshells. They're in the ones you buy in the store. Just put the disc in, and they have these labels on it with the streaming code, so you can actually have an online copy as well. All of that for $1,500. Are you kidding me? I'm not paying for that. I'm not buying that. I'm like, no, there's no. I'll buy them individually, and I don't buy usually DVDs. I don't do physical media. That's just me. But I just.
I'm going to catch up on the chat here real quick.
Oh, sure, yeah, because I've seen, yeah.
Steven says here, when I watch a film, I try not to compare them to the original. Yeah, I don't either. It's a movie. It's a standalone.
I don't either.
I think some of them are their own version of. I think some of them in their own version of the film, unless the director is the same for both versions, like Eli Roth with Cabin Fever. I don't know. I think Eli Roth produced the second one. I don't think he directed the second one.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I haven't even seen the second one. I need to, maybe, just for the heck of it.
No, I heard the second one's not that. Nobody asked for it. Nobody asked for a remake, and they still did it. It came out on IFC Midnight, but even that one, it's one of those ones where I won't talk about it too much. If you don't talk about it, the first rule about Cabin Fever remake is don't talk about Cabin Fever
remake. Yeah.
But I enjoyed the version with Serena Vincent, as she was my Power Ranger crush. Everybody had a crush on Serena Vincent. Serena Vincent was meow. See, I didn't mention the leg scene. I did mention the scene with Pacey's, and she's all that. Another teen movie. I think we did a lot of. I think she was naked in that movie, pretty much.
Probably, yeah.
They're making fun of American Pie or something like that. I haven't seen that since at the theater.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I haven't seen, but I know Serena Vincent is still out there working, and more power to her.
Oh my gosh.
But, yeah, I think they're supposed to be doing they're redoing I Know What You Did Last Summer. I know they're redoing that one.
They're doing third one, yeah.
Yeah. I did not know Michael Landon got death threats. I thought he just dropped out because
it wasn't death threats. It was his kids or something. I mean, my gosh, the Reddit, they're the ones that had kids on there sitting there going after the actor that played Jar Jar and saying he needs to unalive himself. I'm like, are you kidding me? He's doing his job. It's a movie. Get over it.
Binks, that's a whole show on itself. People ripped on Jar Jar Binks a lot. They poke fun at him and everything else. But if you really just watch Jar Jar Binks in this whole role in Star Wars, that dude's a fucking hero. That guy more than holds his own. He fights. He had a goofy voice and everything. But if you actually just watch him, nobody else, just watch Jar Jar in all his action. He's a fighter. He's courageous. He's willing to sacrifice. I mean, he is everything what you expect to see in a hero. And yet people berate him and they make fun of the character. And it's like, wow, you just didn't watch you didn't watch it. You just went along with the rest of the sheep over the cliff.
Like this, you were talking. You asked me a while back, and I find this in my profession too. When there are some people that I know personally that can't shut that off when they're critiquing a movie or a theater piece. I can't shut that switch. I go, sometimes I need to just so I can enjoy something. But like when Mamma Mia came out, you cannot deny it's a jukebox musical. Get over it. The whole thing is the fact that when that movie came out, it outseated, not very, very much, but it outseated Sound of Music as one of the top.
Mamma Mia.
And it did the first one. And so, but when I watched it, when I saw it on stage, I thought, what I loved about it, when I heard about what they were doing with it, the writer that wrote the script for the story, she purposely went back, did not listen to the music. She read the lyrics of their songbook. And she crafted the story out of those lyrics. They found this story that these four singers did about their lives and their relationships. She found it very interesting. And so when they did that on stage, I thought, this is clever. It really worked big. It actually was the first the show in the Winter Garden after Cats. Ran for almost as long as Cats. But when they did the film, people said, well, and I sat there and I've seen Meryl Streep do things long before this. But I had a friend saying he's a music director, and I go, I don't care how good you are. He says, well, she just can't sing. I'm like, did you and I see the same movie? Really?
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Fine. She did fine.
It's like
I thought she did fine. I mean, I mean, there are some other ones out there that probably should have not been in there, but
I just thought these are normal. What are the normal guys that are not singers? They don't. The characters don't. So who cares in a movie? But I said,
right,
for her, I remember when I first saw one of my favorite Carrie Fisher novels was Postcards from the Edge, and I loved Meryl Streep and Shirley MacLaine as Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher. And at the end of that movie, Meryl Streep sings Heartbreak Hotel. And I sat there going, "You go, girl." I mean, this one, she was much younger. Not this
right,
gal, really. But then when they did the sequel, which I thought they were crazy, when I
yeah,
watched that in the movie, I thought, well, number one, Meryl Streep was smart. She's, I'm not in it. I don't do sequels. I don't want to take away the focus from the young girls. It's about when they were younger. I still laughed though. I thought, you're trying to pass off Cher as Meryl Streep's mother. That's hysterical.
yeah, yeah. I
But
remember. I remember seeing that. I just like. I have to admit, when I saw her, like the big big reveal, I'm just going like, yeah, that's sort of underwhelming to me. you
But
know,
but what's funny about it when I watched the script, how they were going back and forth between when she's young and older, I thought this reminded me of Godfather 3. It was just well written. I mean, going back when she was younger and older and going through, I thought this was pretty well done the way they did it. But yeah, I mean, Meryl Streep. It's like when Mel Gibson did his Hamlet. I go, Glenn Close is playing his mother. They're the same age. She's playing
yeah.
Gertrude, and I'm like, it doesn't, it's like now I make
Some
fun of
some
myself.
actors some actors just look older than what they are. Though I will say this about Glenn Close though. Glenn Close got more beautiful as she got older.
She is. She's like, but that's why I make fun of myself. Like, I can't believe I married somebody 15 years younger than myself. And I look at Cher and I'm going, she's the same age as her mother-in-law. I should not be complaining. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe that. I go, that woman's she's going to dress that way when she's 100 years old.
But as far as you get it into, you started your acting, and then you mentioned about the being, started writing, critiques. How old were you when you started writing critiques, and how do you write your critiques? I mean, how do you criticize a stage film? What's the difference between criticizing a stage film versus reviewing a film or TV show?
It's basically the same. It's the storytelling. It's just how they do it. For me, I do my first. I've always done this, and this is how I do. I've learned how to shut that off. It's like, what is my first response? What is my gut feeling? Sometimes it's wrong, and I change it when I watch with multiple viewings. And but I watch like a play version or a stage version. I'm a little more critical with the stage because I know behind the scenes so many things that are happening. But I look at, is there at least a central character that you can see the story with? Do they have an arc? And I said, do I care about them? Now, if I don't, that doesn't make that a bad show. It doesn't resonate with me. And that's why I can understand that some people don't like something that doesn't resonate with them. And that's okay. It doesn't, and like me, I go, I love, like I said, I loved Hereditary, but I can perfectly 100% see everybody that didn't. I understand their point of view. See it 100%. See it, and I can understand it totally see it. But for me, but like when I see, that's why I'm going to do something probably in March or April about, because go ahead.
Because you and I were talking about directing, and that's a really prime example of a director not doing his job. I personally think he was intimidated by it. I think Ari Aster was absolutely intimidated by working with Toni Collette and Gabriel Byrne, because he did not direct that movie. That was like, I mean, Toni Collette. I mean, we always heard of Al Pacino eating the grass, chewing the scenery. Jesus, I never thought I'd see that with Toni Collette, but that's exactly what happened to her. And Gabriel Byrne is an amazing actor. You want to see a really frightening villain? Go watch the first 10 minutes of the End of Days. Yeah. When he goes down there and he comes out of the bathroom and he's possessed, and he goes over there and he starts filling up on that girl in the restaurant, and the husband's like starts to say something, and he turns and he looks dead at him. Dude, there wasn't a single person watching that scene that didn't feel that chill go right up their ass. Yeah. Because that was a scary ass moment.
I think what got me with I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. But I think what intrigued me about Hereditary was the fact that not only was his performance, but also was the young boy, because I just thought he completely outshined her. I thought this kid out from India and out of nowhere. I thought that then the girl, it just what he's going through, and the woman that was playing the cultist, which you didn't know. But what got me was the two things. Still, there's always things that are going to bug you. There's little things like whenever you see It's a Wonderful Life, there's just a scene where I wish they had a scene where you could understand who the person is, who the killer is, how they're controlling the town. It does. At least if you had one scene to show, that's the problem, like you say, with an 80-minute movie, this one scene, what are they using, what type of power, what is it, because all of a sudden it was out of nowhere, you just see these people with these golden eyes and we're drones, blah blah blah. Okay, that's just stupid, that's just lazy. It's the only thing that bugged me about that movie, but it still was fun. But no, with Hereditary, I thought, well, first of all, she's banging her head on that thing. All of a sudden, now she's in the attic. I'm like, makes no sense. That's a lack of direction. That's a lack of direction.
And her performance is so over the top. And you're sitting there, you're going like, man, no one's controlling her. No one's putting a hand on her shoulder and saying, dial it down. You don't need to go this far. I mean, she just so overacted in that movie. And people just, they don't see that. And it's like, Go back and watch Toni Collette's other movies that she's done.
It wasn't Sixth Sense where that subtlety was and everything. But yeah, it's like, yeah, it's so many different things. But yeah, the lack of direction. You've got to have a vision. You have to have that. That's what happened with. I'm going to do probably in the future, probably in spring. I'm going to do a month about the difference between musicals, and because there are musicals that you can get and rent that are live stage. They've captured them, like Newsies, the one my husband was in, and I sat there and thought, well, what made? And I remember the time was, because we're back. I was young, but I remember the day that movie musicals died was 1971, when Lucy Ball did Maine. That's when it died, because people thought she was so miscast in that. And I thought, what is wrong with you? I'm like, she was brilliant.
I think they were probably comparing her to Rosalind Russell, though.
But that was not the musical version. That was the play version. It was because people were mad because they didn't cast Angela Lansbury. But throughout that whole 1940s, all the Rodgers and Hammerstein adaptations, they never cast the original people, ever. Yeah. I think Oklahoma to this day, I don't care how much I love Shirley Jones, but I go, Rod Steiger as Judd Fry. Are you kidding me? Horribly miscast. Awful. And the censors got a hold of that thing. But then when they did the whole My Fair Lady thing, I'm like, the whole original cast, and you didn't put Julie Andrews in. I love Audrey Hepburn, but give me a break. And then Camelot, ugh. And Richard Harris was great, but I'm like, Vanessa Redgrave is Gwen Revere. What are you talking about? It's horrible.
I think they probably did it. They probably thought they could get away with it because in English. To me, I think English actors are I think they're much stronger on the stage than they are necessarily in film. I mean, you think about it.
It's like when they did The Prom, which was great. I'm like, well, we needed star power, and I'm like, Meryl Streep. That's all you need. Nicole Kidman, great, she's wonderful. But I'm like, all right, what's the name? The talk show host? Are you kidding me? I was up for that. I was on the line to do that on stage before I got closed. And I'm like, Barry, no one is going to believe a 30-year-old is going to start opposite of Meryl Streep's age as FDR. No one's going to believe that he was totally too young. And people say, well, he was straight. And I'm like, that man is not straight. Trust me. My gaydar works. But it's like, he was too young. I go, that he doesn't have enough life experience. And all that, and it's just, but I liked what Ryan Johnson did because he cut the language out. They didn't need the language they had in the stage version, but it worked.
As a kid, do you look for that? See, like you mentioned before about how you can watch certain projects. You can watch them and then you have to turn it off. You have to be able to turn it off. Are you able to turn it off when you watch a new movie, or like let's say you watch Thanksgiving? Are you able to watch that movie as a fan film or a film fan? Or are you watching this movie as a critic?
I can to a point. Well, because I don't like the word critic, because some critics are idiots. I mean, I think they're like, to this day, I don't care how much they're worshipped. Siskel and Ebert, I'm sorry, I just did not, especially the way they treated the horror industry genre. It made me so mad.
Oh, yeah. Rex Reed used to drive me up the wall. I used to hate that fucker. I thought.
And I said, and I just didn't, some of the newer ones, like the Broadway critics, don't get me started. It just, it's like
Broadway. Why are Broadway critics so rough?
It's like, I just don't. because what kills me is their big darling during the season when Wicked came out and Avenue Q. Do not get me wrong, I think Avenue Q is one of the funniest, naughtiest shows on the planet. But they put all their money behind Avenue Q, and it won Best Musical. And I said, Wicked has got too much, special effects and glitz behind it. And I'm like, did we see the same show? There are numbers, powerhouse numbers on Wicked, where it's just the actor or the actress on a blackened stage in a spotlight. Give me
Yeah.
a break. You don't know what you're talking about. And ends up that Avenue Q ends up closing after 4 years, and 20 years later, Wicked's still going. And
Yeah.
some people don't connect to the story because they don't. It just depends on. I think it's a great idea what they do, and I hope it works. But doing part two, idiots, just do one part and be over with it. Get it done. Don't spread it out. But that's what they do. But but
Do
I
you
can. I can.
do you look at remakes like that? I mean, like they're going to come out with another Wicked movie. Do you
Well,
look at that and it's like you hold your breath and like like it's not Idina, it's not a Christian Chenoweth,
but
you know.
the thing is, but the people they have, I'm trusting. Cynthia Erivo is good. She's perfect for the role. She's got the acting chops. She was Celie on Broadway, and she's sung the role. She's a good actress. The one I'm worried about is what's her name? The young
Ariana Grande.
is because just that when I saw Hairspray when they did it on NBC, I thought, okay, Penny does not start out as a slut. She's an innocent young girl and she falls in love. But I said, she's worked with Kristen Chenoweth personally. Kristen Chenoweth's a good friend of mine. She's worked with her and showing the different layers of that character, because in Wicked, the story, it's basically the novelist, when he wrote it, he said he had some problems with the morality of L. Frank Baum's story. I still love it as a kid, but the idea is like that Glinda knew how to Dorothy to get home, and she didn't. She put her in danger. And then the wizard has a minor 14-year-old child go and commit murder for him. And so this idea is it takes what's not the camera, but the idea of it, we speak in movie terms, that you see the base of the tagline was a lot of things happened before Dorothy dropped in. And it's really clever what they did with the stage version, but with part two, that means, so you're going back to the novel. It's Mark Platt, Ben Platt's father of Universal, which produced Wicked on Broadway. He's trying to milk money out of it. We can do more and more of the story. I'm like, no, don't, just do the musical and be done. You don't need a second part. Why drag it out? This isn't Harry Potter.
I can understand that. I heard that they're gonna make it a two-part. I'm like, man, that's a lot of story to pull out of just
because they did
sticking to the Wizard of Oz. But if you're going back to because Baum wrote more books. I mean, I think
it's basically, it takes place the same time. It's just their origin doesn't take very long, and it's not a long. You can do it in less than 2 hours, and that's it. But when he's just trying to milk money out of it, and the fact that it's what it is. They're just trying to milk money. And plus, the novel, what I didn't like, and they cut it out of the musical, was I'm tired of this cis straight male obsession with, well, two women can't be best friends without being lesbians. They're like, I'm so tired of that crap. And especially with this novel, because it was written by a gay man. He should know better. What I don't understand why they did that.
But the 30s were way different than now, though. I mean,
but this is what this novelist wrote. It's a modern novel. He wrote it back in. It's a modern novel.
I was going to say, I thought you were talking about Baum's original book. I'm like, okay.
This is Gregory Maguire, which the musical's based on. And I go, are you crazy? I'm like, but we'll see what happens with that. But other ones, like I'm going to do, one of the big plans I have is we can watch stage versions. Like with Newsies, I was going to say, with Newsies, when that came out, I said, the problem they had was they miscast Patrick's, what do you call it?
Like Kristen Bale in that. That was his first, I think that's his first movie he ever did was Newsies.
No, it was actually Empire of the Sun as a little boy. He did Spielberg's. And the thing is, he was miscast. He's not a Brooklyn boy. He's a boy from Manchester. I said he didn't fit, but there was no story arc for that character. Nothing. There was no script, nothing. Some of the music was great. But you take Harvey Fierstein, who wrote La Cage, the original musical, groundbreaking musical of La Cage on Broadway, and he took it and changed the reporter to a female. Now you got a real story arc for Jack, and it worked.
Did you ever get to meet Harvey Fierstein?
Oh, I know Harvey Fierstein. I adore that man. His that's why one musical I want to
Okay,
showcase
so
because
I know I know he did a lot of Broadway, so I just wanted to know, was his voice damaged? Is his voice damaged, or is that
he
be
has
him?
always sounded that way. It's hysterical.
Yeah. Okay.
It's his Edna. If you watch NBC's on Hairspray, it's hysterical.
Yeah.
I mean, but he. I'm gonna one musical I want to focus is his musical version. Cyndi Lauper wrote the score, and it's won tons of Tony Awards. Was Kinky Boots. The musical's hysterical, but it's got a dramatic, like they're making a musical out of Outsiders. It works because it's got a dramatic flair to it. It can work with musicals, but some, like horror especially, I'm like, now they want to make a musical version of Lost Boys. I'm going to strangle somebody. I'm going to fly to New York and kill
Uh,
somebody. I'm like,
why
that doesn't
why
make any
would
sense. There's no
he?
narrative in that to make a musical. There's no dramatic, I said Little Shop, okay. And I know technically Jekyll and Hyde, I don't know why it's technically not a horror novel, but it is, but it worked. But not, I mean, the whole tons like Anne Rice, Elton John did her Vampire Lestat, and I'm like, what are you thinking, Elton? And Frank Wildhorn that did Jekyll and Hyde did Dracula, a horrible musical. I'm like, come on, people. And they made a musical version of American Psycho. I'm like, kill me now. Why stop? That's the big problem in New York is you've got original musicals like that started here in Utah was Shucked, which is a musical about a town that grows chickens, about corn is there, and it's hilarious. It's original story. It's great. It's wonderful. But then you've got Anne Juliet, which is a great idea for play on a Shakespeare where Juliet doesn't kill herself. She moves on. But then it's a jukebox musical. I'm like, I'm done. Can't you write an original score to this? Why do you need jukebox songs? I'm like, are you kidding me? And Beetlejuice worked, but then when you have other stuff that they're doing, and I'm like, come on. Like was Patty LuPone said this. After Hamilton, he tried to start. Rent did the same thing. I have both. That's one, not a double feature, but I want to do this spring or whatever is to watch the stage version when it was closed on Broadway versus the film version.
There was a lot of a stage. That's one of the few movies I can actually think of that they had a lot of the original cast went from straight to the stage to the screen. Which I don't. I'm with you. I'm with you. It's like I'm with you.
It's very rare.
That. It's like if you're gonna go ahead and do a stage play to the big screen, I think you should bring, you should go with what brought you to the party. As much as I love, as much as I want, as much as they did a Phantom of the Opera. They had Gerard Butler and they had Emily Rossum. Okay, they're fine, they're good. She's got a nice voice and everything else, but come on, seriously, I don't, it's you're suspending the belief.
Yeah, like for me,
I want to see Sarah Brightman. That's who I want to see. I want to see Michael Crawford. That's who I want to see. I don't want to see Gerard Butler. I don't want to see Emily Rossum.
It's like with what was it with? I was going to think of Chris Columbus did good with Rant. Was the other one was like why you when they did sometimes Little Night Music, the entire original cast, but you have Elizabeth Taylor singing "Send in the Clowns." Give me a break. Didn't work.
No. Lady Valarie is just hearing about the Lost Boys. She goes, "What? The Lost Boys musical? Oh hell no!" And of course that got her saddling her horse, so she's going to take out. She's going with you to kill somebody.
I said, yeah, Jason the Nice One's going to go Jason Voorhees on somebody's ass. I'm serious. I'm flying to New York.
The Lost Boys musical is just blasphemy. I agree. I have no idea how they would even do that. I just I'm flabbergasted. But let me ask you this. We have time for one big question. I got time for one big question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like both as an actor, as a critic, as a fan? What do you like better to watch on Broadway? A brand spanking new musical or a revival, and why?
Brand new. Because we need it. It's like there's a book written years ago. It's called The Happiest Corpse I Ever Saw. And I'm not kidding. It's still that way. It's always dying because I'm like, you guys can't. Yeah, I was going to say after Hamilton Patty LuPone said the problem why she's left is because she said we as writers and producers and all that have dumbed down our audiences. We are as dumb as shit, and she's right. I
Yeah.
said you can't. I said Lin-Manuel took something like Hamilton, that story of that, and really went for it. He took a huge risk. The critics hated it. It's still running.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
still running, and it's brilliant. It's one of the few scores that I can listen to that I don't hate the songs. And I said when they put it on Disney, that was the one smart thing that Disney did. He put the original cast on, and we've got that captured. And you'll never see that again. And I said that's the point. I'd rather see that. But I've seen the same with movies. I get to the point where I'm like, with like this with Soul Scream, I go, I love these characters. I grew up with them, but it's like I'm done. Freddy's dead. Wes killed him. Let's move on. I said, Halloween is the only thing left. I think is left for Halloween is like, okay, go back and fix Jamie Lloyd's that crap, and then we're done. I think Jason's done. I'm like, you want something new, then do get something new. Stop trying to go back and relive these icons that were they're too long. They've been going on for too dang long. I'm sick of it.
I'm sick of it too. I mean, it's like it's funny. It's like it is. It's like it's like everybody talks about the same boring franchises over and over and over. Man, I can understand loving something like that, man. But I'm more about the originality. Do I want to see a Ghostface? No, not really. I much rather see something like Smile or something like It Follows or something like that. I want to see something like that come my way.
Yeah.
That was absolutely positively fresh. When I watched Saint Maud or I watched A Dark Song, like I mentioned before, or any one of the number of horror films that we watch that no one really talks about.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting to me as a fan. It's like, the Autopsy of Jane Doe, fucking fantastic film.
Yes,
Brightwood.
definitely.
My number one film this year was a movie called Brightwood. That came out that nobody's gonna see, but it's a flipping amazing movie.
Yeah,
Freaking amazing.
it's just original.
What
People
would
on a
you
limb
want to
and
see?
taking risks.
Right. Do you want to see Scream 7 or you want to see a fresh story, like Brightwood? It's like, that's not even a question, boys. We're heading
Yeah.
over there. We've already been there 6 times. We don't need to go there 7, or we don't need to go there for the 12th
Mm-hmm.
movie of the
No.
Hellraiser. I just, yeah.
Yeah.
You
We're so.
know,
It's like I'm done. Yeah. It's like I want something original. I want something new. I'm looking for something fresh, and let's keep moving on and move forward. Because
it's
there's so
funny.
many like Disney.
It's
I'm like,
funny.
do you know how many stories are out there juvenile stories that can still write movies and still be original and fresh like they had in the 70s and 80s, but they won't do it. They got to remake everything, and I'm like, I'm so done.
You know what's really cool though, and thank Kevin for Tubi in this respect. What's so
Mhm.
cool is like going back and watching watching your watch parties. It's brand new to people. People should be looking at what you're showing. Like what's up, Doc? Most of the people that we run around with here in YouTube, they have no idea that movie exists. They have never seen it before at all.
My
And it's just
favorite,
like,
my favorite experience was this past Halloween. There's a couple that bought this theater up the street here, and he was showing old-fashioned, old print movies of all the old movies. And during Halloween, I thought, what the heck? I have never seen Psycho in the movie theater on the big screen on a 75 millimeter screen. Thought this will be fun, just for the heck of it. I'd never seen it, and seeing it through the eyes of my mom, I realized the impact that it had on its audiences back in 1960, and how shocking it was. But I sat in that theater realizing all these young kids don't even know what this movie is. They've never heard about it. They don't know the secret, none of it. And I had so much fun watching these kids when she gets stabbed in that shower. The girls, especially, even the boys, were going insane. They were screaming bloody murder. And my one son, it was so funny. I go, you're evil. And he literally said, hey, everybody, he's killing Jamie Lee's mom. And that freaked him out even more.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
so funny. I thought, you kids have no idea. This is why this movie, people say, Psycho didn't scare me. You're insane. I mean, it just, even though I knew the secrets when I watched it, I just go back. I never made fun of my parents' movies, but and I understand people want to
Oh
do
my
new
God.
things like,
I can't. I really can't. I go back. I mean, I got a chance to do a lot of the Warner Brother archive movies to watch and review them, and man, I just fell in love with them all. I mean, all these movies, Bogey and Bacall, they did 4 movies together. I'm in love with them. The Thin Man series, I'm in love with that. I mean, Myrna Loy is forever and always,
Yeah.
all those classics. I mean, Double Indemnity, Jesus Christ, watch that. Watch
Fred
that and
McMurray. Fred,
be amazed by that. You
that was
know,
that was the first really film noir. Even watching The Apartment, I'm like watching Fred McMurray play an adulterer. If you think the basis of that film, I go, Jack Lemmon is allowing people to have affairs in his apartment.
it's
Are
funny
you
because
kidding me?
oh my gosh, the first time I saw Fred McMurray on screen, he was doing My Three Sons. Then I saw him do a movie called This Way Boys, right? And I was like, wow, Fred McMurray's a really nice guy. He's Disney's Flubber and all that. And then I got older and I started watching his older movies like Double Indemnity. I'm going like, oh, Fred McMurray's not a very nice guy at all. He's like Barbara Stanwyck. I watched her on The Big Valley. She had played the regal Victoria Barkley. And she was, elegant, and she had great clothes, and it's like she could shoot a gun. It was like amazing. And then you see her in Double Indemnity, and you go like,
watch Angela Lansbury and the Manchurian Candidate.
Oh yes.
I saw her on stage. I have it on video of her playing Mrs. Lovett and Sweeney Todd. She scared the crap out of me.
Yeah,
this is Eglantine Price cooking people into meat pies. Yeah. And she's as funny as all get out. I mean, it's like these people are like my first one I ever saw. My mother introduced me to Lon Chaney Jr. as a Wolfman. I felt sorry for him. He's this great little actor that movie was amazing. But see, then they took and did Invisible Man. Oh, it's a remake. Totally original film. Just took modern technology, what someone could do with that technology, and made a really good film. It wasn't a remake. It was an original take on that technology, and it worked. And that's why, some of those old, like I found out one DVD I haven't lost. Oh, I lost a lot of them in the flood. And I still have it because you can't get it on video. I can't find a copy anywhere. Is Life is Beautiful. And it's my favorite foreign film.
Okay.
And I have a copy. I have it in my archive. I have it in my case. I go, I have a DVD. I still have it.
Oh, okay. And, I was gonna say, if you need to find a movie, contact Ken from Mid Level Media. That guy has to
and then the incredible the incredible Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. It made the year I was born. The impact that movie had, and the fact that he was dying of bone cancer, and when he was doing that, and oh my gosh, it's just some of these movies. That's what we need today, is these people taking risks. People should understand when they're producing, are you only invest what you can afford to lose?
Risks, they run the, they take risks. They run the chance of, either a lot of times they get these young directors and they run them out there too soon. They run them out there, and it's like, and then they're not ready for that. They're not ready for the scrutiny or the heaviness of doing a film like that. We'll get, and then when they crash and burn, then everybody's like on them, and then they don't get another chance.
Yeah.
And then it's like me. To me, it's like, man, you want to get, because not every it's funny because I've seen all these directors that have been known for directing good, solid, crafted dramas, and the next thing you know, you're seeing them they're doing like that one lady, Rosalind Zhao, I guess she did Nomadland. She got an Oscar for that. Okay, great. But her next movie, she got handled a $150 million movie. It's like, I don't necessarily think she was ready for that. And it showed in the finished product. It's like she had no idea what she was filming, who she was filming, or anything about the movie. And she even said that I've never read any of the books. It shows. But guess what? Now you go out there, then you crash and burn, and then you don't get chances after that.
Yeah.
Not even independent films. Yeah, and your ego, and you have to swallow your ego for that, like saying, well, I just got done doing a $150 million film. Why would I want to go back and do another $10 million film, an indie film?
Yeah.
Well, because you crashed and burned in your second attempt. Probably go back to what got you there in the first place. But a lot of these studios, that's what they're all about. They grab directors that aren't necessarily ready for big project movies, and then when they crash and burn, and it's all saying that today in Variety, a lot of these guys, everybody's sitting there waiting for them to fail. And it's just like as soon as they fail, everybody's jumping on them instead of just sitting there going like, like not considering
That's your
everything.
fault.
Look at Josh Trank. He made a beautiful, awesome movie called Chronicle. Brilliant movie, fucking brilliant
Mm-hmm.
movie. One of the first appearances by Dane DeHaan and Michael B.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan. His second movie he got was a big studio movie, The Fantastic Four. He had no idea what he was doing.
Yeah.
They changed it on him. They changed all the characters on him, and they threw him out there, and he crashed and he burned. I don't think he's. I think he's done one other movie since then, and that other movie he came out with got crushed too. And I
Yeah.
don't know if he'll ever. I don't know if he'll ever get another chance to do another movie, not a studio
No.
movie anyway.
It's
Listen, we can keep going on here, and
yes.
all this does is just tell me that we need to bring you back to talk again. And I want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with
You're
us
very welcome.
tonight.
Thank you.
This has been oh yeah, we got to talk about your channel. We're gonna put the links in the channel. You were getting close to 100 subs. We've actually tried to push you out there a couple of times. We're gonna try it again to get to that 100 mark. That's been a real. I think you've had the hardest time getting to 100, but we're gonna fix that. We're gonna go to bat for you.
Yeah.
We're gonna push hard to get to over 100.
That's why I'm trying to go ahead and do it on my channel. I'm trying to go ahead and do more like this next. I've gone ahead and had people put a vote on what they want to look at as directors, and one of the top one was John Carpenter. And I thought, well, I'm just going to be open about it and film to film, and just do some of his films that aren't done a lot. Like I haven't seen Escape from New York in years. It's been a long time, but I remember loving it as a kid. But then, like The Fog, the original one, and then I'm probably going to do a collab. I'm trying, hopefully, with Movie Bros React and on Big Trouble in Little China. But one that's, and I was surprised. I'm glad that I'm not the only one. Like Val, Sharon, I love In the Mouth of Madness. I loved what John Carpenter did with Lovecraft's novel, and that's a bizarre film. But it's that, and then. I love John Carpenter's what he did with Village of the Damned. It's a different movie. It's not, but I liked what he did with, especially because Christopher Lee's last film.
I have to go back and revisit that. My favorite John Carpenter movie is still Escape from New York.
Yeah,
what's that movie? That movie's so bonkers. That movie's so bonkers. But I have not seen A Village of the Damned in years. I have not seen. It's been a while. I just got a copy of the thing. I got a copy of the thing for the library, so I'm going to go revisit that. I saw the prequel. I saw the prequel they did, which I thought was actually pretty good. I actually really enjoyed that with Joel Edgerton and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I have to.
I thought they did a nice job with that, but I have not seen the original thing in surprise since it came out. So I definitely want to do that. John Carpenter, he's done a lot of movies that people they really don't give the love and dedication to it as they should. But what's new before we let you go, what's new on the channel? Are you other than the John Carpenter series?
I'm going to do February where I'm going to be doing more some deep dives. I'm trying to finish one about The Conjuring. Basically, I'm waiting to I was hoping I might wait for the fourth one, but who knows when that's going to be made. So I'm just on the first three. I'm calling it, a cinematic tale of faith, family, and the power of love. And those three movies, what connects them. And then once I finish Saw X, then I know they're going to do a few more. It's just basically calling it the Saw series, A Modern Morality Tale. It's an interesting look at how the man plays the role, and he's amazing, all the villains, but how they think they're being moral and they're really not. But it's just this interesting tale, like all of Shakespeare's. It reminds me of Shakespeare's. Iago thought, well, I'm right, I'm being moral, I'm in the right. Well, no, you're not, but he tries to get you as an audience to side with him.
Yeah, every villain thinks that they're the hero of their own story.
And so I had some work on that and some of the videos and do some more reactions. I'm trying to figure out how to make that work, because I really don't want to. I don't say you can put the preview on your station. I'll be the one that they shut down. I just know it. That's why I don't dare do it. But I also want to try doing more live just critiques of films. It's just easier to do. Just get it done.
Yes.
Once it's done, I
Well,
don't want to try to work on it too long. I just do it and all that, and we work on that. And then I was going to do my review of Scream 6. I'm like, it's done. It's over with. I did my deep dive on it, and we're done. Move on.
As far as us, and we will be back in January. We'll be back a week from today for our first show of the year. So we're not going to have anything on Tuesday or Wednesday. We will be back 1 week from today for our first show of the year, and that will be film director and screenwriter Spider Darbowski will be here with us. Yes, Spider is a very cool director, very nice guy. And hopefully we're going to have one of his stars to this new movie Down Below. Alexis Knapp will be with us. We're going to cross our fingers on that. And then next Friday we have Peter Castro, who does the press for Bayview Entertainment. He will be our special guest on Friday the 5th. That's our first distributor guest. I'm super happy about that.
Wow.
Those people are hard to get, let me tell you. On the 9th of January, we have actress Heather Frawley will be with us. On the 10th, we have Grace Juliana will be with us. On the 11th of January, we have another fellow YouTube creator, Dell from Dell on Movies, will be our guest on Thursday the 11th. And then the show that I've been looking forward to, Grail guest, we'll be talking to, and you want to be here for this one, Jason, for sure. We'll be talking to Ray Murray from Cinephobia Releasing. Ray has pushed me as a fan of movies. He has pushed me as far as what I watch, how I watch it. He used to own and run exploitation films, art exploitation. Now he's running Cinephobia. He did a movie that he got for his company. It was a first for me. I'd never watched it before. I never watched before. That was a gay horror film called The Latent Image. Awesome movie, amazing movie. Never reviewed a movie like that before, but I watched it and I was blown away. And that's Ray Murray. He truly is a pioneer, a visionary, and he will be here on the 12th. And we're going to be talking about all sorts of good movies. He's the one who put out Brightwood, who distributed Brightwood, the number one movie that I saw this year. And he will be our guest on the 12th of January. So that's what's coming up here on the channel. On the 7th, we'll be here we'll be here on the 7th at 8 p.m. with our IFC show. We'll be looking at our house. Yep, I can't wait for that. The first show of the year. Mary Wilson will be hosting the show through my channel, and we'll be covering our house on January 7th. Thank you to the chat for coming out and hanging out with us.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
All been here you guys have been here for the whole show. Thank you so much, Echo and Steven and Valerie.
Yes.
And that's amazing. Thank you so much. Glad you came in, Casey. Appreciate that. Drop a comment down below. We dropped Jason's channel right there. If you knew, and I have it in the description box down below. So please go over there and give him a sub, and we'll try to get him over 100. That'll be an awesome thing to do. That's it for us. We will see you. We'll see you next Thursday at 8 p.m. I don't have anything between now and then, so we'll see you next Thursday. Thanks for watching, and stay right where you're at, Jason, and everybody else. We'll say good night to you right here, right now.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Thanks for coming. You too. Happy New Year, everybody.